the news of Islamic Regime. Thank you so much, the international news. I want to show you we're having a beautiful, beautiful awareness across the world about Iran, Islamic regime, secret groups, and those who want to destroy freedom. I want to show the good news and that we have to continue to trust in God first and do justice. Thank you so much. So let's get going here. This is the news of Lisa Luciarden. And I want to show you here.
They would rather invest in Hezbollah. They would rather invest in the rapists and the murderers of Hamas. They would rather invest in those groups than they do in their own people. That's what Iran invests in. And that's what the world, that's what you should be asking me about. That's what the BBC should be covering. And that's what these other media outlets should be covering, is how evil these people are in Iran and the damage they've done to people all over the world.
See, there it is. There it is. And that's what I've been trying to tell for years. For years. In 2011, I wrote an article about immorality and morality and taking care of our people, taking care of our nations, putting justice first and the people first. My name's Lisa Luciarden, and I'm writing a book, and I wrote the book, but because they
would rather invest in Hezbollah. They would rather invest in the
because I've had things happen to my computer systems and my work, but I want to show you here, right here. Here it is right here. Islamic regime uses large businesses in countries such as Iran, oil, to come together to take down the people. It's terrible. They rather invest in coming together with Hezbollah and Islamic regime secretly in New York and all over the world. Today is a refugee day. You saw that with the Pope. 86 million refugees. 86, and they're from 56 Muslim countries, that they could be taking care of them. In the divine command, agreement on nuclear tools, Iran and free your people. God's promise of the covenant to protect the nations with his right arm of power upon the nations to protect from nuclear warfare. God wants us to forgive you, Iran. Daniel 4. In the past, Iran threatened the whole world, its legacy, when they did not pass an agreement in nuclear warfare. But now they did with President Trump. The people they killed were a Holocaust of 46,000 or more. That's their people they killed. And they invest in, just like Rubio says, Hezbollah, Islamic regime, and Hamas. Were displaced. And the Palestinians were displaced because they use the Palestinians as a human shield. Do you understand? Iran is using their people as a human shield to invest in the evil of a 1400 year. This is a 1400 year, you listening? A 1400 year slavery of the way they want to use people since in Africa, the Islamic regime, 1400 years they've put Africans in slavery, and they still do. Thousands they had at the border in Libya, and they sold them off to auction. This is the same thing as Iran. Iran sold their people because they want to invest in evil. Diplomacy agreed in writing, no nuclear weapons, or you will have sanctions and penalties, and agree no weapons. God has shown you your nuclear weapons. The killing of your people has brought you death. They have less money and less success, Iran, and they're a larger people than the Jews. The Jews have very small amount of people, but they have so much success in their land and their people. This shows that what they're doing is incorrect. They just bring death. They invest their money in the death of others and not their own people. God Most High is commanding to enter into agreement, no nuclear weapons. This was written before President Trump made the nuclear weapon agreement with, thank God, President Trump. Otherwise, you will lose your country as Nebuchadnezzar did. Nebuchadnezzar is the time of the Old Testament, where he believed that he did everything on his own, and God, he lost everything. Now, Nebuchadnezzar realized God gave him what he has, in that he was righteous to his people, and then he got it all back. Now respect God Most High. He is asking to bring diplomacy and be a better man. God gave you all you have, and bring justice and freedom to your people. This was written before. God gave Iran all the greatest beauties of life and living resources. God chastised them. Now I pray they realize that they need to come to realize that God gave them everything they have. The people they killed, a Holocaust, 46,000 and more, 93,000 displaced, and 26,000 wounded. We need to be respectful and grateful that the leaders did want to stop the war. President Trump and the team intercessors chosen, President Trump and the team and the intercessors chosen to bring authority to the world, safety and business existence, life of the people internationally. Desire to do justice for all the world. The UA, the prince, a leader that hears the voice of God Most High, justice, brought missiles of mercy to protect the world also, and anointing the home of the people of Iran to be freed. But they haven't freed the people yet. The Iranian people, they need to free them. This shows the authority of the God Most High given to President Trump and the team. God has given to stop the hands of the compass of your missiles, so that the nations can have pouring of life again by opening up the Strait of Hormuz, like I asked years and years ago. I asked years ago, Lisa Luciarden, I asked years ago about this, that we would use leverage of the Strait of Hormuz if Iran would threaten with nuclear warfare. That was years ago, I asked. And Russia, God is asking now to stop the war. 2 million of soldiers have died, and your country has died. And we are blessed that Russia and China took the hands of their military missiles, compasses, and made a standstill to bring peace, so we could restore the nations again. So there's hope. There's hope, but we need to continue with doing the right thing. Never again should we have threatening against the world. Iran treating their people like slavery, and they have gold and oil, and they are large, and Iran has a much third or fourth oil, correct, in the Middle East, the most oil in the Middle East, the third or fourth. Israel's a fighter because of the old covenant. They won't give up. They can't give their country up in the world. Israel's protecting the world. We need to realize, in Europe, many immigrants are used as human shield to take down the Judeo-Christian nations. And I saw in Europe, they are doing deportations, and they have to. They need to bring them back to the 56 Muslim countries that have money. All the Europe and even USA can be in danger of Islamic regime hooked up with the Brotherhood, and even Iran, because Iran is hooked up with the Brotherhood. Do you understand? Destroying the freedoms of the people and posing a nuclear threat. Hence, the whole world is in danger. So even though Iran is not going to do nuclear threat, there's offices set up across the whole Europe of Islamic regime people. And Pedro Sanchez just let in many people from Spain, which is bad. Are you listening? My name's Lisa Luciard. Pedro Sanchez, many people, millions of people, and 90% of the new jobs are going to be for the immigrants, which is terrible. And Spain used to be the great nation of the world power, and I feel very upset And there's offices set up there now that they have to be careful. They could start any nuclear warfare anywhere by allowing the borders to be open. And that's terrible to say, but that could be true. This is terrible. They need to deport all the illegal aliens that are criminals and reassess the rules, because there is enough commodities in these countries, these Muslim countries. There's enough commodities. The people of Britain, there's enough commodities in the Muslim countries to excavate and empower their people. They use the Judeo-Christian nations for their own hatred of evil to bring down the Judeo-Christian nations. These 56 Muslim countries, there's many monies of excavations inside their soil that has never been excavated or found. And we can work together in peace. Bring the refugees back to their home and come together, the CEOs, and find their commodities in their ground and businesses and develop them. And what they did with Britain, 250,000 children raped, and they never said anything about it because they were afraid. We need to wake up at this very time and stop this Islamic radical regime. And 90 the Islamic regime, Iran, does not have the same God. They have their own ideas. Their own ideas of the Quran. The original one was burnt, and they made new ideas to kill all the people that are non-Muslim. And that's what they want to do. Kill all the people that are non-Muslim, and even the Muslims that don't want to follow through. They did this in Iran. They killed their own people. Do you understand? Because they rather give money to their counterparts to take over the world. Even they killed their own people blatantly, the Iranians. Hamas killed 170,000 Palestinians, not Israel. They use the Palestinians as a human shield. They were asked to be taken out, and they did not take them out because God knew that Hamas was going to use the Palestinians as a human shield and not stop the war. Netanyahu had to protect his own land in Europe itself because Hamas is led by Iran's money. Don't you get it? You know, I just have to reiterate, we need to assess all the information in our communities. And the Palestinians, it's condensed with many high population of people in Gaza. That's why so many died, because it is the highest population of condensed amount of people in that small area, and that's why many died. And they use that. And then if this is terrible, and we need to come together with truth and reconciliation. Lift people up and around out of slavery, drowning them from the slavery of Islamic regime, but now God is walking on water by the power of his right arm of strength, and all the believers praying and the billionaires and waiting for the complete delivery of the Iranian people. All of a sudden, all the billionaires investors started to say, Our Father, art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Rapists and the murderers of Hamas. They would rather invest in those groups than they do in their own people.
See, this is true. Rapists, these are rapists, 250,000 been raped in England. And that needs to stop now, and we need to cut it out. The Islamic regime, unfortunately, the blackmail. This is the new solution in God's solutions in USA and Europe. God first. God solutions, consultant, confident, and singer. God first. Love God with all your heart and soul. He's given these Judeo-Christian nations the right arm of God's power and strength and the covenant of the old and new. The Jews and the Christians to come together and work together in God's power. America, save our legacy. In God's power. That's my book. Country, save your legacy. This book showed how, with solutions to restore America, Judeo-Christian nations, and Europe, economically, politically, internationally, culturally, and spiritually restore our nations. And my new book is coming. And here's my other book, God First, America, Our Miracle. God First. Europe, Our Miracle. God first is doing justice for the people. Is not paying money to do evil. When God created the people, he didn't create death of a tree. He created life of a tree.